You are late for dinner because your hair will not behave. You tug at a sleeve. You check your reflection and wonder why looking acceptable can take so much work. Now imagine that every pin, fold, and step announces your price, your rank, and the debt waiting for you after the door closes. That is closer to your life as an Oiran in Edo period Japan. At first, the word may sound like a costume. Silk robes, white makeup, an impossible hairstyle rising above your head like a small palace. But an Oiran was not simply a beautiful woman dressed for a party. You would be one of the highest-ranking courtesans in a licensed pleasure district, trained to become a spectacle that wealthy men could pay to approach. You would also be living inside a system designed to make leaving difficult. In 1617, the Tokugawa government created Yoshiwara, Edo's official pleasure quarter. Edo is the city now called Tokyo. It was meant to contain prostitution in one controlled place, behind gates and rules, where authority could monitor it, tax it, and profit from it. Historian Son Hiromi describes this world as a regulated commercial system, not a glamorous exception floating outside ordinary life. Your beauty would be treated as labor. Your body would be treated as a source of revenue. Your future would be counted in debts, contracts, purchases, and the approval of people who held power over you. After the Great Mairiki Fire of 1657, Yoshiwara moved to a new location called Yoshiwara, or New Yoshiwara. A moat surrounded it. The moat was called the Ohaguro Dobu, the Black Tooth Dime Moat, named for the dark color associated with a cosmetic custom of the time. There was a great gate. There were guards. There was a road in, and for many women, no simple road back out. You might arrive young, very young. Some girls entered the district as Kamuro, child attendants who served senior courtesans. Others became Shinzō, teenage apprentices learning clothing, manners, music, letters, and the elaborate social rules of the quarter. Your childhood, if you had one, could become rehearsal for a role you never chose. Could you learn to smile on command? Could you learn which poem to quote when a patron wanted to feel intelligent? Could you remember the rank of every visitor before he had even spoken? You would have to. An Oiran was expected to be more than sexually available. You would need conversation. You would need cultured taste. You would need to understand poetry, calligraphy, music, incense, seasonal fashion, and the tiny signals hidden inside formal behavior. A wrong word could embarrass a patron. A graceful phrase could make him return. Your speech might even be shaped into a rinsukatoba, an artificial style of language used by high-ranking courtesans. It could soften or hide the regional accent that revealed where you had been born. You would not merely wear a different face. You would learn to speak with a different life. Then there was the clothing. You would wear layers of silk. You would wear your obi, the broad sash around the robe, tied in front rather than behind. That front not looked dramatic, but it also made the garment difficult to manage alone. Your hair could hold combs, pins, ornaments, and wax structure heavy enough to ache by the end of the day. Kitagawa Morisada, whose 19th century work Morisada Manko recorded everyday Edo customs, described clothing and hairstyles with the patient detail of someone preserving a disappearing world. Through those descriptions, you can almost feel the weight. Fabric pulling at your shoulders, hair fixed in place, feet pressed into tall wooden sandals. You would not simply walk through Yoshiwara. You would perform walking. The Oiran Dōchū was a formal procession. You would move through the streets with attendants around you, wearing towering three-pronged clogs called San-Gai. Each step followed choreography. Each pause created anticipation. Each difficult movement showed that you belonged to a rank far above ordinary life. It was advertising, but advertising performed as ritual. People would watch. Some would admire you. Some would envy you. Some would imagine that being impossible to reach must feel like power. Does being watched ever feel like freedom? Before a wealthy patron could become familiar with you, he might have to make 3 expensive visits. The rule became known as San-Gai, or 3 meetings. At first, he could not simply claim your private attention. He had to return. He had to pay. He had to demonstrate patience within a system built to turn desire into income. The ceremony made the Oiran look selective and untouchable. That appearance was valuable. It raised your price. But prestige is not the same as choice. Historian Cecilia Sagawa Siegel, in Yoshiwara, The Glittering World of the Japanese Courtesan, traces how elite ranks changed over the Edo period, including the rise of the Oiran after the older Taiyu rank faded from Yoshiwara. The labels changed. The costumes changed. The business remained painfully clear. You could become famous and still be owned by debt. Your clothes were expensive. Your training was expensive. Your food, rooms, attendance, and appearance all carried costs. If recruiters had brought you into the district, the money attached to that transaction could become another chain around your life. The more refined you appeared, the more expensive your maintenance became. So the image that made you seem elevated could also make escape harder. Historian Amy Stanley, in Selling Women, examines how women in early modern Japan could be moved through systems of sale, service, and debt. Her work makes a difficult point visible. Exploitation did not always announce itself with chains. Sometimes it arrived as a contract. Sometimes it arrived as a family emergency. Sometimes it arrived dressed as an opportunity. You might tell yourself that success is close. One rich patron, one generous payment, one marriage proposal, one debt finally cleared. But hope can be profitable to the people selling it. Not every Oiran had the same life. Not every woman entered through the same path. Individual lives contained friendship, rivalry, skill, humor, longing, and resistance that no account book could fully capture. Yet the structure around those lives was brutal. Disease moved through crowded quarters. Childbirth could be dangerous. The pressure to keep working did not disappear because you were ill, tired, or afraid. A shining procession could pass through the streets while grief waited behind the screens. This is why calling an Oiran a geisha is not just slightly inaccurate. A geisha was a professional entertainer, trained in arts such as music and dance, and legally distinct from a courtesan. An Oiran was a licensed sex worker in a hierarchy built around access, rank, and commercial desire. Both could be skilled performers. Both could understand style better than almost anyone around them. But their worlds were not the same. The strange part is that your modern life may still recognize some of this pressure. You may not wear 15-centimeter clocks. You may not live behind the Great Gate of Yoshiwara. But you know the feeling of preparing yourself for judgment before entering a room, opening an app, posting a photograph, attending an interview, or walking into a party where everyone seems to be watching. You know how quickly self-presentation can become work. You choose the right clothes. You smooth the right details. You learn the right language. You try to look effortless while doing an enormous amount of invisible labor. And sometimes, the more impressive the performance becomes, the harder it is to admit that you are tired. That does not make your life the same as an Oiran's. The risks, the coercion, and the historical reality were far more severe. But the story can still sharpen your eye. It can show you that beauty is not always leisure. Attention is not always affection. Status is not always freedom. Sometimes the thing making you visible is also asking you to disappear inside it. So when you catch yourself standing before a mirror, adjusting one small detail because it suddenly feels important, remember the women of Yoshiwara. Remember the silk, the gate, the ritual, the price hidden beneath the performance. You are late for dinner because your hair will not behave.